The mysterious vanishing. The year was 2512, and humanity had spread across the stars. Earth, once the only home to the human race, was now the center of a vast interstellar empire. For centuries, humans had been reaching out, discovering new planets, and making contact with alien species. The galaxy was full of life, full of promise, and full of wonder. But something strange began to happen, something no one could explain. It all started when the first explorers on the edge of known space sent back a message to Earth. At first, it seemed like another normal report, but as more ships ventured further, their transmissions became more frantic. They spoke of silence, complete, unbroken silence. No alien ships, no signals, not even the hum of distant space stations, just an empty void. At first, no one believed it. The galaxy was large, and vast areas were still unexplored. Surely, some parts of the galaxy were simply beyond the reach of current technology. But as more ships disappeared into the silent regions and failed to return, the truth started to become clear. The galaxy had gone quiet. Too quiet. It was as though all the aliens, every last one, had simply vanished. This mysterious event was not limited to one region of space. It spread across the galaxy, stretching far beyond the human colonies. The silence was felt everywhere. The once bustling communication channels, full of alien chatter and negotiations, were empty. The bustling trade routes between human colonies and alien civilizations had come to a halt. There were no more messages, no more signals, nothing. It was as if an entire chapter of the galaxy's history had been wiped away in the blink of an eye. The scientists on Earth were the first to try to explain it. They analyzed the data, studying this strange phenomena. Some suggested a cosmic event, like a supernova, might have caused a massive disruption in communication. Others theorized that a powerful force, beyond even human understanding, had driven the aliens away. But no one could figure out what had happened. No one could answer the most important question: where did all the aliens go? For years, humanity was left in the dark. Entire fleets were sent out to search the galaxy, but no answers were found. The silence stretched on, unbroken. In time, the galaxy became a more dangerous place. Without the presence of the aliens, space felt more empty, more isolated. The once vibrant galaxy seemed to lose its spark. Ships became lost, and some colonies began to fade as resources ran dry. There were whispers of a great disaster, something that had wiped out the other species, something humanity might one day have to face as well. But despite the fear and uncertainty, one thing remained clear: humanity was now the dominant species in the galaxy. With no other civilizations to challenge them, humans began to expand their territories, taking control of new planets and star systems. Earth became the capital of a new galactic empire, and the humans, once just another species in the galaxy, now stood at the top. Still, there was an unease among the humans. They had conquered the stars, yes, but at what cost? What had caused the sudden disappearance of all the alien species? Was there something lurking out there in the dark, something waiting for the humans to make their move? Some feared that the silence was not a blessing, but a warning that humanity might soon face the same fate as the vanished alien races. Despite these fears, humanity's new empire grew stronger with each passing year. Their technology had advanced rapidly, fueled by the vast knowledge they had gained from the abandoned alien ruins scattered across the galaxy. Humans now had powerful fleets, each ship bristling with the latest weaponry and shields. They were ready to defend their new empire, ready to explore the deep reaches of space and uncover the mysteries left behind by the vanished species. But one question still haunted humanity's greatest minds: what happened to the aliens? As the years passed, the question remained unanswered. The silence was maddening. The stars, once filled with the hum of alien life, were now empty. The galaxy, once teeming with cultures and languages, was now a graveyard of forgotten civilizations. No one knew if the aliens had fled, been destroyed, or had simply disappeared. The mystery only grew more intense as time went on. Some of the bravest explorers decided to venture beyond the outer rim of known space. They knew the risks. They might never return. But the need to know what had happened was too strong. Humanity had to know the truth. The explorers sent back cryptic messages before their communication systems cut out. The messages spoke of strange discoveries, ancient technologies, and cryptic signs that hinted at something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. One captain, aboard a ship named the Vanguard, made a chilling discovery. Deep in the uncharted regions of the galaxy, beyond the reach of the human empire, they found something that made their blood run cold. A massive structure, an alien ship, was drifting in space, abandoned, its systems long dead. But it wasn't the ship that terrified them. It was the symbol carved into its hull. A symbol that matched the ancient alien warnings found in human archives, warnings of a great enemy, something that had destroyed countless civilizations before, something that might one day return. The captain of the Vanguard sent one final message before disappearing into the silence. They're coming. And with that message, the mystery of the vanished aliens took on a new, terrifying meaning. The silence was no longer just a sign of their disappearance. It was the calm before the storm. Something had wiped out the aliens, and whatever it was still out there, waiting. The story of the vanished aliens had only just begun. The rise of humanity. As the years passed, humanity adjusted to the silence. The mysterious vanishing of the alien civilizations had left a void. But in that void, a new force began to rise. Earth, once a small planet among countless others in a bustling galaxy, now stood as the heart of a growing empire. The humans had not only survived, but they had thrived in the emptiness. With no aliens to rival them, humanity quickly expanded across the stars, establishing colonies and taking control of planets that were once alien-held. The human empire spread across thousands of light years, and each new colony brought new wealth, resources, and knowledge. The humans had become masters of space, their technology evolving rapidly as they scavenged and studied the remnants of the alien civilizations they found. They unlocked secrets of ancient alien weapons, faster than light travel, and energy systems that pushed the boundaries of human ingenuity. Earth became the political and technological hub of this vast empire, guiding the many colonies into a new era of prosperity. But even as humanity grew stronger, the absence of the aliens created a sense of unease. Was the galaxy truly free of its old inhabitants, or was something more sinister lurking in the depths of space? The disappearance of the aliens had left behind more questions than answers. Despite the technological advancements, there was an undercurrent of fear, a nagging worry that humanity's rise to power might be an illusion. The silence wasn't just an opportunity, it was a warning. Something had wiped out the alien civilizations, and the possibility of it returning was ever present. On Earth, a council of the most powerful leaders, scientists, and military commanders worked together to ensure humanity's continued dominance. The council had one main goal: to maintain control over the galaxy, to ensure that humanity would not face the same fate as the vanished aliens. And for that, they needed to keep pushing forward, always expanding, always exploring, and always ready for anything that might come from the dark corners of space. Humanity's fleets had grown more powerful, their ships equipped with the most advanced weaponry and shields. Their technology allowed them to outpace any potential threats, and their exploration vessels continued to chart the galaxy, searching for more alien ruins and new worlds to claim. But in the back of every mind, the question still lingered: what happened to the aliens? In the outer reaches of the human empire, new colonies began to take shape. These colonies were often self-sufficient, relying on Earth for trade and protection, but they were growing more independent. The colonists were becoming restless, eager to explore the galaxy on their own. They had heard the stories of the silent galaxy, but they did not share the same fear that haunted the leaders of Earth. The further the colonists went, the more the silence became normal for them. They had never known a galaxy teeming with alien life, and to them, The void of the missing civilizations was just another part of space. However, as some of the most daring explorers ventured into uncharted territories, they began to encounter strange phenomena. Ancient structures that seemed to pulse with energy, abandoned ships that appeared to have been torn apart by something unknown, and messages, cryptic warnings from the few surviving alien species who had been scattered across the galaxy. It became clear that the more they explored, the more humanity was uncovering about the cataclysmic event that had wiped out the aliens. One such explorer, Captain Lena Moore, commanded a ship called the Pioneer. Her mission was to scout a distant, unexplored sector of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of any human colony. The Pioneer was equipped with the latest technology, including long-range scanners capable of detecting even the faintest trace of alien life. As they traveled deeper into the unknown, the crew started to notice something unusual. The sensors began to pick up strange signals, signals that seemed to come from nowhere. They weren't quite alien in origin, but they weren't human either. These signals were unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Captain Moore decided to investigate. Her ship followed the signals to a distant star system, where they discovered a massive, ancient space station. It had been abandoned long ago, its metal walls scarred and worn from time. But there was something else, something that made the crew uneasy. The station seemed to have been built by a civilization far older than any they had ever encountered. The technology was far more advanced than anything humanity had developed, and yet the station was silent, its inhabitants long gone. As Moore's team explored the station, they uncovered something that would change everything. A series of holographic recordings left behind by the alien civilization that once inhabited the station. The recordings were fragmented, but they painted a picture of a galaxy at war. A war between the alien species and an unknown, unstoppable enemy. An enemy that had destroyed everything in its path, leaving nothing behind. The recordings spoke of a cataclysmic event, a force so powerful it had wiped out entire civilizations in the blink of an eye. The last message in the recording was a chilling warning. It's coming for you. It has always been coming, and it will never stop. Captain Moore returned to Earth with this grim news. She knew that humanity's rise to power might not be as safe as everyone thought. The vanished aliens had not disappeared by choice. They had been destroyed by something far worse. The peaceful galaxy humanity had conquered was a lie. The real danger was still out there. And it was only a matter of time before it would find humanity. This discovery sent shockwaves throughout the human empire. The Council in Earth's capital realized that they could no longer live in the comfort of the silent galaxy. The threat that had wiped out the aliens was out there, waiting. Humanity had only just begun to rise. But now they had to face the terrifying truth. Something was coming, and it wouldn't stop until it had claimed everything. The discovery of the fleet. The message from Captain Moore was like a cold wind sweeping through humanity's newfound empire. It changed everything. The belief that the silence of the galaxy was a blessing, a sign that humanity had inherited the stars, was shattered. The vanished aliens had not simply disappeared. They had been wiped out by something far more dangerous. And now, that same threat loomed over humanity's future. In the wake of Captain Moore's discovery, the Council on Earth ordered the largest and most ambitious exploration mission ever attempted. The mission was to send out a fleet, one that would venture into the farthest reaches of space to find the source of the threat and gather as much information as possible. Humanity's fleets, which had been used to maintain control and expand the empire, were now tasked with a far more urgent goal: survival. Led by Admiral Orrin Drake, the mission's objective was clear: find out what had happened to the aliens, and if that threat was still out there, eliminate it before it could reach humanity. Admiral Drake was a seasoned commander known for his strategic brilliance, but even he couldn't ignore the growing sense of dread. The galaxy had once been teeming with life, but now it was silent. The emptiness of space felt more like a warning than a blessing. The fleet was made up of the most advanced ships humanity had ever built. They were armed with powerful weapons, state-of-the-art shields, and faster-than-light engines that could take them deeper into space than any human vessel had ever traveled before. As the ships prepared to depart from Earth's orbit, the crew members could only wonder what they would find. Would they encounter more alien ruins, or would they discover something far more terrifying waiting for them in the dark? Their journey took them beyond the known star systems, into regions of space where even the most daring explorers had never ventured. The further they went, the more the silence seemed to close in around them. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, but still, there was no sign of life. The fleet passed through star systems that had once been the homes of thriving alien species, now reduced to nothing but barren planets and drifting ruins. They found derelict stations, ancient weapons caches, and broken ships, all signs of civilizations that had long since fallen. Then, in the farthest reaches of space, the fleet discovered something. At first, it was a faint signal, barely detectable, but as the ships moved closer, the signal grew stronger. It was coming from a massive object, something unlike anything humanity had ever seen. A gigantic alien fleet, seemingly abandoned but intact, drifting in the void of space. Admiral Drake ordered the fleet to approach the mysterious armada with caution. As they drew closer, they realized that this was no ordinary fleet. These ships were of an unknown design, far more advanced than anything humanity had ever encountered. The sheer size of the fleet was staggering. It stretched across light years of space, with hundreds of massive ships, each one more imposing than the last. They were powerful, ancient, and incredibly advanced. The fleet's sensors scanned the ships, and the results were both awe-inspiring and terrifying. These ships were equipped with technology that far outstripped humanity's current capabilities. They had weapons that could obliterate entire planets, shields that could deflect the strongest of attacks, and engines that allowed them to travel across the galaxy at unimaginable speeds. It was clear that this was the fleet of a civilization that had mastered the art of war and domination. But there was something unsettling about the fleet. It was not in motion. The ships were completely still, drifting through the void as though abandoned. There were no signs of life. The fleet appeared to be empty, and yet it was still capable of transmitting faint signals, signals that seemed to be repeating some kind of message, one that could not be understood. Admiral Drake made the decision to board one of the ships and investigate further. He and his crew prepared to enter the massive alien vessel, their hearts pounding with anticipation. What would they find inside? Could this be the remains of the alien fleet that had once ruled the galaxy? Or was this something far worse, something that humanity had yet to comprehend? As the boarding team entered the ship, they found a scene unlike anything they could have imagined. The interior of the vessel was dark, cold, and lifeless. The air was still, and the walls were lined with strange symbols that no human could recognize. But there were also signs of damage. Broken systems, scorched walls, and twisted metal. It looked as though the ship had been in battle, and from the state of the wreckage, it was clear that whatever had attacked it had been powerful enough to bring down even the most advanced of ships. As the team ventured deeper into the ship, they found a control room, still operational despite the damage. On the screens, there were images, fragments of old records that were slowly being pieced together. The images showed a once thriving alien civilization, a species that had once ruled the stars. But then, the images turned dark. A shadow, moving through space like a predator hunting its prey, began to appear in the records. This was the enemy, the one responsible for the fall of the alien civilizations. The team quickly realized that they were not just dealing with an alien fleet. They had stumbled upon the remains of a species that had been wiped out by the same mysterious force that had taken the others. And worse still, this enemy was still out there, waiting. The fleet was a warning, a final message from a civilization that had fought and lost against the unimaginable force that had taken everything. Admiral Drake understood now that humanity had only scratched the surface. The silent galaxy was not a peaceful one. It was a graveyard, and the enemies that had destroyed the aliens were coming for humanity next. He sent a message back to Earth, his voice grave. The fleet is not abandoned. It's a warning, and we are next. The fleet's discovery marked the beginning of humanity's darkest chapter. The silence was no longer a mystery. It was the calm before the storm, and the storm was about to break. The return of the aliens. Admiral Drake's message reached Earth, and the human empire reacted quickly. The fleet's discovery of the alien armada, coupled with the warning of the ancient enemy, sent shockwaves through the leadership on Earth. The silence that had seemed like a blessing, a sign of humanity's uncontested rule over the galaxy, was now revealed for what it truly was, a false sense of security. The alien fleets might have vanished, but something much darker had been watching, waiting. As the human empire scrambled to respond, something happened that no one had expected. The enemy, the one that had destroyed the aliens, was not dormant. It had been waiting, observing the rise of humanity. And now it had chosen to reveal itself. It began with a series of strange anomalies appearing across the galaxy. Entire star systems would suddenly go dark, their energy signatures vanishing without a trace. Communication channels would cut off without warning, and ships, human ships, began to disappear from deep space patrols. It was as if the galaxy was being swallowed by an invisible force. A cold, unnerving fear spread throughout the empire. The silence that had once seemed peaceful now felt suffocating. Then it happened. Without warning, the skies above Earth's colonies were torn apart as enormous, dark ships emerged from the shadows. They came from the deepest parts of space, moving with an unnatural precision. These ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. Their surfaces were smooth and dark, like obsidian, and they pulsed with an eerie energy. There was no sign of life on board, but the ships were deadly, equipped with weapons that could disintegrate entire fleets with a single strike. The enemy had arrived. Humanity had faced many challenges in its rise to power, facing alien species, overcoming technological limits, and establishing control over the galaxy. But nothing could have prepared them for this. The invading fleet was far beyond human technology. The ships moved faster than any human vessel, their weapons more powerful than the most advanced human defenses. The invaders did not communicate. They did not negotiate. They simply attacked. The first major engagement took place near one of the outer colonies, a thriving human world on the edge of the empire. The colony's defense fleet was large, but when the invaders arrived, they were like a hammer against a fragile wall. The alien ships tore through the human fleet as though it was nothing more than paper. Their weapons disintegrated the human ships instantly, leaving behind nothing but debris. The humans fought back, using every weapon in their arsenal, but the invaders' ships seemed impervious to all attacks. Nothing worked. The humans tried to flee, but the invaders' ships moved too fast, cutting off every escape route. The battle was a massacre. Back on Earth, the Council watched in horror as the reports came in. The enemy was overwhelming them. They had no idea where the invaders had come from or how they had gained such power. What they did know was that humanity's position in the galaxy was under threat like never before. Admiral Drake, still leading the expeditionary fleet, was the first to understand the true scale of the situation. The fleet of dark ships, the invaders, were not just a force of destruction. They were an unstoppable wave. The invaders had wiped out civilizations before, and they would do it again. And this time, humanity was in their sights. The Council on Earth called for a full-scale mobilization. Every fleet, every resource, every soldier would be put on the front lines. The human empire had no choice but to fight. But even as they prepared for war, the question remained, what was the purpose of these invaders? Why were they targeting humanity now? To answer that question, Admiral Drake ordered his fleet to study the enemy ships. He sent scouting parties to try and learn more about the invaders' tactics, their technology, and their weaknesses. The crew of the Vanguard, still reeling from their earlier discovery, was assigned the task of infiltrating the enemy fleet and gathering as much intelligence as possible. As they approached the Dark Fleet, something strange occurred. The enemy ships stopped attacking, halting in place as though they were waiting. It was as if the invaders knew the humans were coming, as if they had been expecting them. A chill ran down Admiral Drake's spine. What kind of enemy could do that? What kind of intelligence could predict humanity's every move? Then it happened. A massive wave of energy swept over the human fleet, knocking out all communications and systems. The ships were paralyzed. It was not a physical attack, but something far more terrifying. A wave of psychic energy that seemed to reach into the minds of the crew members. The invaders were not just an enemy fleet. They were a force with control over minds, capable of shutting down entire fleets with nothing but their will. In that moment, the truth became clear. These were not just conquerors. These were a race of beings who fed on destruction, on domination. They were older than the aliens that had once filled the galaxy, and they were more powerful than anything humanity had faced. The silence, the disappearance of the aliens, had been part of their strategy. They had waited until humanity's empire was at its peak, and now they would strike, erasing everything in their path. The final horrifying revelation came when one of the alien ships revealed its true purpose. It wasn't just here to destroy. It was here to reclaim the galaxy. The invaders were the last remnants of an ancient civilization, one that had once ruled the stars, but had been destroyed by the very force that had claimed the other aliens. They had returned not to conquer, but to restore their lost empire, and humanity stood in their way. In that moment, the future of humanity seemed uncertain. The enemy was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The galaxy, once theirs to command, was now a battleground. The war for survival had begun, and humanity had no choice but to fight back, even though they knew the odds were against them. The real battle had only just begun. The battle for the stars. The war had begun, and humanity was in the fight of its life. The Dark Fleet, led by the alien invaders, was a force unlike anything humanity had ever faced. The overwhelming power of their ships, combined with their ability to control minds with psychic energy, put the entire human empire on the defensive. As more human colonies fell to the invaders' destructive waves, fear spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Admiral Drake and his fleet were pushed to their limits. Every battle seemed like a desperate struggle for survival, and yet, with each victory, humanity seemed to be losing ground. The invaders' ships could not be destroyed by conventional human weapons, and their psychic attacks paralyzed entire fleets, rendering them useless. The humans fought valiantly, but it felt like they were fighting against an unstoppable tide. Despite the overwhelming odds, the human resistance refused to give up. The galaxy's greatest minds worked tirelessly, trying to discover a way to counter the invaders' powers. Humanity's fleets, though damaged, were still formidable, and the leaders on Earth knew they had one chance to turn the tide. If they couldn't defeat the invaders outright, they could at least find a way to outsmart them. Admiral Drake, having seen the enemy up close, knew that the only way humanity could win was by understanding their enemy's weaknesses. He recalled the ancient alien fleet they had discovered earlier, the one that had once been a mighty force before being wiped out by the same invaders. The key to defeating the enemy might lie in understanding what had brought down that advanced civilization. Drake's fleet set out on a daring mission. They would search for any hidden information that might have been left behind by the ancient alien species. Perhaps, hidden within the ruins of their once great civilization, there was something, some weapon or technology, that could shift the balance of the war. The danger was immense. The invaders' ships were now hunting down every remaining human fleet, and every planet under the Empire's control was at risk. It wasn't long before Drake's fleet found what they were looking for. On the edge of a forgotten star system, the fleet discovered an ancient research facility, buried deep within a dead planet. The facility had once been a hub of scientific and military advancement for the alien species, but now it lay in ruins, just like everything else. It seemed as though the invaders had left nothing untouched, but in the deepest part of the facility, they discovered a hidden chamber, one that had remained undisturbed by time or destruction. Inside, they found the research, an energy weapon unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The weapon was designed to neutralize the invaders' psychic abilities, using a combination of high-frequency energy and advanced shielding technology. It was a last-ditch effort by the aliens to defend themselves against the invaders, but it was incomplete. The research was there, but the weapon had never been fully built. However, the blueprints and schematics were intact, and with the right resources, humanity might be able to finish it. Time was running out. The invaders were already in pursuit of Drake's fleet, their dark ships closing in. But with the new weapon in their hands, humanity now had a chance to fight back. Admiral Drake ordered the fleet to return to Earth, where they would work to construct the weapon. But the invaders were relentless. As the fleet made its way back to the capital, they were intercepted by a full force of enemy ships. A massive battle erupted in the void of space. The human fleet fought with everything they had, using every tactic they had learned over the course of the war. They were outnumbered, and their ships were still vulnerable to the invaders' devastating attacks. But they had one advantage: the knowledge of the weapon. The newly constructed weapon was the key to turning the tide, and they were determined to use it. In the midst of the battle, Admiral Drake's flagship, the Vanguard, took a direct hit. The ship's shields were failing, and the crew was desperate. Drake knew this could be their last stand, but he couldn't give up now. He gave the order: fire the weapon. The weapon was unleashed, and for the first time in the war, the invaders' ships faltered. Their psychic shields flickered and failed as the energy weapon cut through the darkness. It wasn't enough to destroy them, but it was enough to give the humans a fighting chance. The invaders, realizing their psychic hold was slipping, tried to regroup, but the humans pressed their advantage. It wasn't a total victory, but it was a crucial one. The weapon had shown that the invaders were not invincible, that they could be fought. The humans now had a weapon that could neutralize their psychic powers. The tide was starting to turn. The battle had only just begun, but the humans now had hope. They knew that they could not defeat the invaders in one blow, but they had discovered the key to pushing them back. The final confrontation was coming, and humanity was ready to face the true enemy, the one that had destroyed civilizations before and was now threatening to wipe out humanity. But now, humanity had the will to fight. The stars were still their destiny, and they would not let anyone take that from them. The fight for the galaxy, for the survival of humanity, was far from over. But for the first time in a long while, there was a glimmer of hope on the horizon. The invaders may have come for the stars, but humanity would not surrender without a fight. The battle for the galaxy was on, and humanity was determined to win. Humanity's victory and the new era. The final battle was near. After months of fighting, the human fleet had gained ground. But the enemy was still a powerful and relentless force. The invaders, who had once swept across the galaxy without resistance, were now struggling to hold their ground against humanity's fleet. The newly developed weapon that neutralized their psychic powers had given the humans a fighting chance, but they were still outnumbered. The stakes had never been higher. Admiral Drake knew this battle would determine the future of humanity. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the future of the galaxy itself. If humanity could defeat the invaders now, they would secure their place as the dominant force in the galaxy. But if they failed, the invaders would wipe them out, just as they had done to the ancient alien civilizations before. The final assault began when the largest human fleet ever assembled gathered near Earth. It was an all-out offensive, the last chance humanity had to strike a decisive blow. Every ship, every soldier, and every resource had been poured into this battle. The human fleet had been strengthened by the technology and knowledge gained from the ancient alien civilizations, and they were ready. The invaders, too, had gathered their remaining forces, their dark ships looming in the distance like a storm on the horizon. This would be the battle to end all battles. As the two fleets closed in on each other, the tension was palpable. The dark ships of the invaders, now weakened but still dangerous, loomed like shadows in the vast expanse of space. Humanity's fleet, reinforced with a newly constructed psychic neutralizing weapon, took their positions, bracing for the inevitable clash. For a moment, there was nothing but silence in the galaxy. Then, without warning, the first shot was fired. The battle erupted in a massive wave of explosions and energy blasts, filling the vacuum of space with the chaos of war. The human ships, armed with the weapon that had turned the tide of the conflict, launched their first strike. The invaders' psychic shields flickered and failed as the weapon pierced through their defenses. The human ships, using tactics learned from their previous encounters, moved with precision, focusing their attacks on the vulnerable enemy ships. It wasn't easy, and the invaders fought back with every bit of power they had, but the humans were relentless. Admiral Drake, aboard the Vanguard, coordinated the attack with cool precision. He knew that they couldn't afford to waste any time. Every moment counted, and the invaders' ships were still a threat. As the battle raged, the human fleet made its way to the heart of the enemy armada. The final objective was clear: destroy the invaders' flagship, the command ship from which they controlled their forces. If the flagship fell, the rest of the fleet would be disorganized and vulnerable. The Vanguard led the charge, its weapons blazing as it tore through the invaders' ships. But the enemy flagship was heavily protected. It was surrounded by dozens of smaller ships, and it had powerful defenses. Admiral Drake knew that the only way to break through was with a direct assault, and he ordered the fleet to push forward with everything they had. As the Vanguard approached the flagship, a wave of psychic energy tried to sweep over the ship, but the new weapon blocked it. The human fleet advanced, pushing through the invaders' defenses. The final confrontation was coming. In a daring move, Admiral Drake ordered the Vanguard to breach the enemy flagship, a suicide mission that could cost them everything. With a sharp turn, the Vanguard rammed into the flagship, its hull crashing into the enemy ship with a violent explosion. The impact created a massive shockwave, disabling the invaders' ship's outer defenses. The human fleet followed, launching a full assault on the enemy flagship, boarding it with everything they had. Inside the flagship, chaos reigned. The invaders fought desperately, but the humans, fueled by desperation and determination, pushed forward. Admiral Drake led the charge into the heart of the flagship, where they found the alien leaders, beings who had once controlled entire civilizations with their psychic powers. Now they were just another enemy to be defeated. The final battle inside the flagship was brutal, but the humans triumphed. The invaders' leaders were captured or eliminated, and with their fall, the invaders lost their grip on the fleet. Outside, the rest of the human fleet fought valiantly, taking down the remaining ships one by one. The invaders, realizing their command structure had collapsed, began to retreat. The human fleet, now fully empowered by their knowledge of the invaders' technology, pursued them relentlessly, destroying the last remnants of the Dark Fleet. The battle, once thought impossible to win, was now a victory for humanity. As the last of the invader ships were destroyed, the galaxy fell silent once more. But this time, it wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence of victory. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. They had proven that even against the most terrifying and powerful enemy, their resilience, their determination, and their unity could carry them through. The war was over, but the journey was just beginning. Humanity's empire, now victorious, was stronger than ever. With the invaders' threat destroyed, the galaxy was once again open for exploration, and humanity would be the ones to chart its future. But the lessons of the war were not forgotten. The silence that had once seemed like a blessing now held a deeper meaning. The vanished alien civilizations, the dark fleets, and the ancient technologies were all reminders of the dangers that lurked in the galaxy. Humanity's place among the stars was secure. For now. As the humans celebrated their hard-earned victory, Admiral Drake stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, looking out into the stars. The galaxy was theirs to explore, to claim, and to protect. It was a new era for humanity, one filled with endless possibilities. But Drake knew that the galaxy was vast, and there would always be new challenges. And so, with the sun setting on the war-torn galaxy, humanity began its next chapter, ready for whatever came next.